Hello.
This Roja Nasiri.
Hello everyone. My name is Roja Nasiri. I'm a PhD student working in data governance lab at JADS. Today I will present a study done by a master student at JADS under my team supervision. And this study is an empirical study on production-grade anomaly detection in serverless function monitoring. Let's start. As you know, function as a service is a cloud computing model that you can develop small pieces of code, and then infrastructure use these codes that called functions to respond to specific events. Developers only focus on the logic of code, and cloud provider manage the infrastructure. While this model can facilitate application deployment, but it faces a problem called black box problem, because developer no longer control the infrastructure and have limited visibility in running functions. So detecting anomalies is getting very difficult. To handle this problem, we need to automate the monitoring and anomaly detection. In industry approach, there are some major cloud providers like AWS that provide this functionality, and also there are the third-party tools that provide this functionality, but they are using very basic and small statistical model like ARIMA to detect anomaly detections. Also, their implementation pipeline is not accessible by other people. In academic approach, serverless anomaly detection is getting hot topic in community research, and most of the work has focused on using deep learning model, specifically autoencoders, to detect anomalies. But their pipeline are very complex, and they have not extensively evaluated on practical deployment. So this research try to compare mature open source deep learning models with a statistical model like SRMO to answer this research question, that how these models are accurate in detecting anomalies, and how they are stable across different fault classes, specifically resource stress like CPU and memory spikes, and latency anomalies. Also, we want to find what training time and configuration effort does each detector require on the fixed resource budget. To conduct this study, we implemented an evaluation pipeline. That the first step was data selection. Honestly, the many studies complain about the lack of a realistic and accurate data set in this area. And when we are doing this research, we only find two peer-reviewed data. That one of them is a Huawei production trace dataset that we use for this research. This dataset includes tracing data collected from 200 cloud functions and are recorded in 141 days within 234 day windows. And it has some features. One of them is requests that collect request counts per minute and second. Another one is anomaly latency measures like function delay and platform delay, and also collected resource utilization like CPU usage and memory usage, and also is collected the number of running pods. That all of these records have been aggregated over on 1 minute 1 minute basis. However, this dataset has a problem that has no label faults. So because of this, we need to first do synthetic fault injection. For fault injection, we focus on the 4 fault classes based on the metrics that are available in the data. The first fault class is CPU stress, and the second one is memory stress that shows spikes in CPU and memory usage. The second one is function delay that shows increased time execution, and the fourth one is platform delay that captures the additional network or scheduling overheads. For the fault injection, we follow the TSAGN methodology. That first we model the normal behavior data by using log normal distribution. Then we use extreme value theory to identify extreme values. For this method, first we use a peaks over threshold that instead of modeling all the distribution, first they take the tail of the distribution and then model them by using generalized Pareto distribution. Then these extreme values used to create 2 types of anomalies. The first one is shows a spike or a dip in nearby values. But the second one are non-structure anomalies that characterize a segment of burst and decline with a window of anomaly values in between. Then these values injected to the production trace, and also we use a cooled down step to avoid injected anomalies from different fault classes simultaneously to doesn't allow to have unrealistic fault combinations. Because for EVT model that we need to run for each function, and the model has 200 functions and it was inefficient, we needed to cluster our functions. So for the clustering of function, we use k-mean clustering based on the features that are not correlated together. So after checking the correlation of feature, we use request function delay and CPU to cluster functions. For example, the cluster 2 shows the functions that have medium traffic, short time execution, and low CPU usage. The next step is pre-processing data to show that all of the model achieve the same format of data. The first step is a time segments aggregate that aggregate raw data over a fixed specific interval to create time series. Then we use a simple imputer to handle missing value, and then min-max scaler to scale data, and finally we use rolling window sequences to generate subsequence of time series by using a 30-minute window. The next step is model selection and training the model. For the commercial statistical baseline, we use SRE that are commonly used in commercial environment. And for the autoencoder, we use 4 autoencoders. Dense autoencoder, variential autoencoder, and using a normal autoencoder plus by LSTM regressor, and finally sequence to sequence autoencoder that use LSTM layer for both encoder and decoder, and all of these autoencoders implemented by by using Sintel Orion library. After the training the model and producing predictions and reconstruction, we apply post-processing based on the type of the model. The first one calculate regression errors that compare the predicted and expected data. The second one compare the reconstruction data and the real data, and the third one combine regression errors and reconstruction errors. For example, anomaly scores are suitable for variation autoencoder because this encoder can produce predictions and reconstruction together. For evaluations, we use two scoring methods. One of them is point-based and another one is windows-based scoring. And we use precision recall and F1 score to evaluate models. Performance analysis on SRMO shows that this model is very sensitive to threshold. When the threshold is very low, so it can almost detect all of anomalies, and so the recall is high. But also because it has many false positive cases, the precision is low. But when we increase the threshold, everything changed and the recall decreased and precision increased. Also, because the data has a strong 24 seasonality, we evaluate this model on seasonality and find that surprisingly the best result is for non-seasonal period. So we selected this model to compare to other autoencoders, and the result shows that all autoencoders can outperform SRMO, and also they achieved near perfect recall. And among these autoencoders, LSTM autoencoder achieved the best performance. In case of stability across fault classes, also again, LSTM autoencoder shows stable results, but SRMO, while it shows a stable result in memory stress, but it collapses in latency metrics because it uses linearity assumption and it cannot detect a high complex data. In case of training time and configuration error, deep learning model needs more time to train, but they are motivated, so they allow to capture a better complexity. However, SRMO was very fast, but it was fragile, and because it's univariate, it needs to retrain and retuning many times. Our study, like many studies, has some limitations. The first limitation is ARIMA baseline, because the SRMO implemented by commercial environment is not available, so we use a framework, an open source framework, that maybe our implementation is under or overestimate the performance of commercial solutions. Another limitation is related to fault injection, because we only focus on 4 fault classes, so definitely we miss some real production failures. Another limitation is related to generalization, because we evaluated only one data set, so the performance may vary under different workloads, cloud platforms, and also different fault classes. And the last one is offline evaluation, because data has only historical data, so we cannot implement a real-time streaming pipeline. So in this way, we couldn't assess throughput and tail latency stability. To conclude this presentation, as mentioned before, all autoencoders outperform SRMO, and they are more stable than SRMO. So organization can now assemble a fully open source stack using libraries such as Sintel Orion that meets or exceeds vendor accuracy without need to pay money for license or vendor locking. Then the third findings is that operation teams can embed the Orion pipeline directly in CI/CD to obtain sub-second alerts without exposing traces to third-party SaaS endpoint. Also, for future work, we suggest to optimize ARIMA with using SRIMAX and exogenous regressor, and also using adaptive threshold that may help to improve the result of ARIMA. And also, we suggest to validate on additional public and synthetic data set for different traffic regimes and cold start patterns. Thank you for your attention.